Love Island ITV2, ITV Hub Suffragettes with Lucy Worsley BBC One, iPlayer Dietland Amazon Prime A Very English Scandal BBC One, iPlayer All Girl BBC One, iPlayer Versailles BBC Two, iPlayer What Does Superficial Mean asked Hayley, a model from Liverpool, genuinely fuddled at the existence of a four-syllable word despite her 21 years on this earth. Soulful pretty boy I'll explained patiently they're all pretty boys, but I'll, having a modicum of self-awareness, looks set to gain a reputation for being intelligent that it's the opposite of deep. Ooh, I like deep. Welcome, then, to Love Island 2018, which looks set to be the most naked, unashamed, and nakedly unashamed slice of exploitatively television yet. And I know it's just a bit of high summer entertainment, bubblegum telly. I don't want to come across as all Billy no fun, but for some reason the cynicism of the producers, undoubtedly about to cash in again on last year's extraordinary success, sticks a little more bitterly in the craw this year. They all seem nice enough lassies and lads, even the undoubted big dog alpha male, 6 feet 5 inches Adam from Newcastle, whose job is to essentially knock one of the girls on the head and haul her from the cave. Partly, my simmering resentment, I surprised myself by feeling far more soreness for this exercise than I could muster for the royal wedding, is just down to the relentless belittling of brains. None of the girls can think of anything they'd want in a partner other than tall, dark and handsome. One may have said pole dark and handsome, which would have been genuinely, alright, relatively, witty. So they couldn't have said it then. Scottish Laura in particular is all set to hurl the reputation of air hostesses back about 65 years, as she and the rest wait, keenly, to sleep with Adam, on telly, for money, and for Instagram promotions. How you longed for a goth, or a self-harmer, or a blue stocking, or anyone who could spell a word longer than I. Partly of course it's that this Love Island falls in a very particular year, the centenary of the first women getting the vote. In some ways that fact, and the strides forward in all areas. Awful old Cambridge only allowed women to graduate as members in 1948, speak of a century of vaulting, astonishing success, and then you see Love Island. Oh, as they all scream. My God. Lucy Worsley steps into the shoes of the suffragettes. Photograph, BBC, Brooklapping Productions, Parisa Tahizada. I thought Lucy Worsley did a bang-up job, ably aided by writer-director Emma Frank, of telling the oft-told story of the suffragettes in thrillingly new ways. Absent were the comfy stereotypes of feisty, flinty heroines chaining themselves stoically to gates, passively leafleting. Instead we saw the all-out violence, the bombs, the arson, the fear, the terrorism, deemed necessary, and saw, too, the viciousness of force-feeding. Lucy of course got to dress up, but very differently. Seeing her run from a fire attack, as part of the cast of a kind of living diorama, had a fresh vividness that somehow just worked. Also a splendid corollary to the flimsy swimsuits of ITV2 was a new big thing on Amazon Prime called Dietland. An adaptation of the 2015 Sarai Walker novel, written and directed by Martin Oxon. It's been called a feminist riposte to Fight Club. It's all that, and more, and nuanced, and savagely funny in parts. And dark, and Moorish, offbeat, sinister and wholly refreshing. Join Ash and Juliana Margulies in Dietland. Photograph, Eric Madigan. AMC. Ostensibly the story of anti-heroine Alicia Plum-Kettle. A wonderful Joy Nash, a serial dieter and self-confessed fatto. I can say that word. My body was just a thing that I used to carry my head about. Who ghostwrites sharp answers for the agony column of a dreadful, thin-friendly lifestyle magazine. It very soon morphs into an offbeat and sinister revenge manifesto, with hints of a feminist spree killer at large. Yet never losing its soul, or crucially its wit. It's a wholly refreshing, almost indefinable, cri de coeur against the idea of impossible perfection, and one of the most constantly surprising things you'll watch this year. Liberals have had a certain spring in their step of late. If nothing else, A Very English Scandal has reminded them of the fact that they used to be, in fact, irrelevant, far and away from the safe, soft-shoed cliché. They have become a very English sandal. The sheer brave exuberances of Russell T Davies' writing, of Hugh Grant's acting, have allowed this to surpass tonal niggles, for the subject matter did, lest we forget, deal with black hearts, toxic prejudice, and gargantuan senses of entitlement to become, simply, a triumph. The closing episode was exceptional, not least for Mr. Justice Cantley's ruinously loaded summing up. Norman Scott is a sponger. He is a fraudster. He is a whiner. He is a parasite. Yet you must not think that just because I am not concealing my opinion of him, you should not believe him, which essentially ensured Thorpe's getting off. It still astonishes, as, in its own way, did reporter Tom Mangold's 1979 report, long suppressed but subsequently aired on BBC4, into the establishment cover-up that graced and disgraced every aspect of Fairthorpe. Thanks goodness for the cussedness of Mangold and his like. Ordered by the then Director General, who would be Sir Ian Trethewey, to destroy the film in its entirety, he told Daily Politics last week, "In my house you don't burn books and you don't destroy films. Amen to that." Norman Scott Ben Winshaw has his day in court in a very English scandal, simply a triumph. Photograph, BBC, Blueprint Television Limited. Back on our screens is our girl, and plucky army medic Georgie, with her plucky tattooed eyebrows, and her appalling section of thick as mince dysfunctionals. This series has moved to Nigeria, where Boko Haram hangs out, and so we get such insightful reactions as, "That's a proper what the heck do you do situation." Kinda makes you think, done it, why are all the beautiful places so messed up? Yet, compared to the Witterings from Love Island, this was like a conversation between Gertrude Stein and Paul Theroux. And compared to the wooden tops of Franco-Canadian period drama Versailles also begun again, for the last ever series, a phrase that when I read it had me metaphorically, glee, kicking holes in every mirror in the Galerie des Glaces. The Squaddies represent the most talented British actors of this or indeed any other generation. On paper, Versailles ticks all the boxes, a phrase of which they are inordinately fond in Love Island. In practice, in reality, on primetime TV, however, it is nonetheless, unfortunately, the most woeful dreck.